Giants of the Deep by Averagesaur. The job seemed like a miracle. Not too long ago, I moved from Ohio to North Carolina. I had been working as a zoologist, and I had been making good money. But this new job in North Carolina blew it up. I made the trip out to North Carolina, and soon got started. I just had that passion for my job that you usually don't see anymore. But this job was the one I had been waiting for. I got to go out in the ocean and study the complex, majestic ecosystem. I couldn't wait. The night before, I thought of all the things that could go right. It turns out I should have been looking for the things that could go wrong. As we first got out to the ocean, there wasn't much to see. We saw some interesting things, but I knew we hadn't seen anything yet. As the sun slipped below the horizon, I got into my bunk and fell asleep. 3 hours later, I was awoken by the sound of water churning near our boat. I groggily removed myself from bed and staggered over to the railing of the boat. Not too far away, I saw something moving just beneath the waves. At first, I thought it was a whale. Then I heard it. Some sort of low, yet loud humming. Puzzled, I continued to observe the massive shape. After a minute or so, the shape flicked its tail above the surface. Something about it felt odd, but I just couldn't place my finger on it. Frustrated and tired, I walked back and laid down in my bunk. I didn't catch much sleep that night. I wasn't scared, but rather puzzled. Nevertheless, I fell asleep. A couple of hours later, but it wasn't for long, I was awakened by a massive panic on board. I whipped out of my bed and walked outside. I asked one of my colleagues, Scott, what was going on. I was shocked at what he told me. One of our marine biologists, Noah, was missing, just completely gone from the boat. The panic ensued. It went on like this for maybe 4, maybe 5 hours? By that time, we had calmed down and it was 3 o'clock. As sad as we were about Noah, there was nothing we could do, so we continued on. But we should have just stopped right there. We should have just saved ourselves. We continued to work, but nothing really felt the same. We were all quiet and emotionless. And as the end of the day neared, I was given some news. I would be sent down in a pod. I was the one going deep underwater. Why me, I thought. Why was I the one to go down into these depths? That night I was thinking of just not going down, refusing to do it. But that's when the thought came to me. That's how I would get this all off of my mind, by going down into the depths. The next day I was excited and I was ready to go down. I ate my breakfast and I prepared for the mission. I would leave at 1 o'clock, and I would have enough oxygen to last me until 11. I waited eagerly to dive down. When I saw the pod, I ran over and was ready to enter it. I'm still kicking myself for that one. Why did I keep going? Why did I ever get into that pod? But before I knew it, I was in the depths. As I was descending, I stared out the pod windows. This was all so mesmerizing for me. The sea was full of life, and I was down here, seeing it in person. Eventually, I settled in and I enjoyed the show. It wasn't long after that when things got weird. Suddenly, all at once, the sea life seemed to completely disappear. At first, I was confused, but then I was excited. I thought it had to be a shark, but 10 minutes later, there was still nothing. After that, I left, feeling unfulfilled. I sank down deeper and was happy that there was life once again. It really wasn't that deep in the scope of the ocean, but for humans, well, let's just say it's a different story. Here I continued to observe whatever I could. This was all so new and exciting to me. But then it happened again. Everything just disappeared. Disappointed, I was looking above me. I don't know if I should be thankful or regret that decision. What I saw was a serpent-like creature, probably 80 feet in length. I would have thought sea serpent if it weren't for the fact it was some sort of giant eel. I went black for a few moments. When I woke up, I jumped. I could see the giant eel. However, it seemed to be eating something. A closer examination showed it to be eating a great white shark. How ironic, I thought. The great predator of the ocean, as man knows it, is devoured by something much larger. I was both terrified and mesmerized. As I examined this new ocean predator, it hit me. The tail. It was the tail. That's what I felt was off. The tail. I thought it was a whale, but I had seen the tail of an eel. How did I not notice it? But as I thought about its tail, my mind kept drifting to something else. Noah. Did this eel kill him? This thing is a sea monster in every sense of the word. I just feel hopeless. I'm in the presence of an 80-foot-long sea monster that likely killed one of my colleagues, and my body is conflicted. The zoologist in me is excited that I just discovered a new creature, and a particularly large one at that. If there are monsters down here, this could open up the possibility of more cryptids being real. As excited as I was, the other part of me was scared. The other me wanted to just leave and never come back. I decided to compromise. I would leave, but with proof. My pod has a syringe, so I can take blood samples. Plus, I can grab things with my claw. As I pull out the syringe and prepare to do it, I realized that this job required me getting very, very close to the creature. So I'm having another inner debate. But I don't have time for this. The eel is about to finish its meal and leave, so I prepare. As I go to get its blood sample, the eel bolts away. The whiplash of its tail knocks my pod back. I'm confused. What happened? Why did it leave? Did I scare it? No, it can't be scared of me. I came to the conclusion that it was just finished with its meal. As I approached the shark's corpse, I became excited. One of the eel's teeth was stuck in the shark. I immediately pulled it out and began rising. As I neared the surface, I wondered where the eel went. Confused still, I loaded into the boat and got out of my pod. I told everyone on board. I told them that I had proof, and I pulled out the tooth. Everyone was just stunned. It felt great, making a major scientific breakthrough. But it didn't last long. Something rammed into our boat. I immediately knew that it was the eel. Terrified, we began to run around. Some ran for their bunks, others stayed outside. Our captain was moving the boat as fast as he could, but the eel still caught up to him. This time, the eel broke something. The captain had a look of horror on his face. We couldn't move. Trapped like sitting ducks, I looked down at the water, at the approaching eel. It stopped. Why did it stop? Suddenly, the creature began thrashing. The thrashing was moving our boat. I didn't know what was going on, but that's when it hit me. It wasn't the first time that something had hit me in a figurative way today, but this time it was different. This time it hit me like a truck. Why would this creature, the alpha predator of the ocean, be hunting on the surface? This creature should be living down deeper in the water, hunting bigger things, unless it's scared of something else, something down there. It all began to piece together now. Why the eel had left in a hurry, why it was always at the surface. At that precise moment, I felt helpless. I felt like nothing. This 80-foot-long eel seemed much larger than me, but it was dwarfed by something even larger, something likely larger than the blue whale. I was pulled out of my trance by humming. The eel. The eel wasn't making that humming, so what was? Suddenly, blood began to color the water. The eel was violently pulled away from the boat by something unseen, something much larger. It began to pull the helpless eel down to the depths below, and then all was silent. I was both terrified and mystified, but most of all, I wanted to leave the water. The Coast Guard picked us up off the water. I still don't know what to think. All I know was there was some sort of titan that lurks in the deep. It's capable of eating sea monsters. I don't know what it is, but all I know is that we need to stay out of the water. Please never visit the open ocean. You never know what monsters you may encounter.